Good afternoon, my name's Tom, and this is our weekly politics discussion. A reminder, do not worry about politics all day, every day. It's a lot of stress, and usually the important information can be condensed down into something under 10 minutes, and it doesn't even necessarily have to include a whole lot of bias. So, just for thought, don't have to deal with it every minute of every day, or even daily, once a day. You'll be much happier if you reduce it down to short increments. All right, so last week I didn't discuss national politics at all, but the importance of votes in local elections. So we've got a little bit of catching up to do. And again, I'm not going to cover everything. I just want this to be short and things that are relevant. Democratic Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia, I guess, is becoming independent Senator Joe Manchin. Doesn't really change a whole lot. Safe to say there will be less campaign funding available to him from the Democratic National Committee. So that's not going to be super helpful to him if he wants to try to maintain his seat. Let's see. Democratic New Jersey Senator Bob Menendez is now independent New Jersey Senator Bob Menendez. Democratic Party has chosen to primary him because allegedly he has been accepting fat stacks of cash and gold bars and mortgage payments and cars to help somebody corner the halal meat market in the United States. It's not a good look, and he blames his wife. So the Democratic Party in New Jersey is running somebody else, and it seems Menendez has chosen to run as an independent candidate. He has no chance of winning at all. I think he's hoping, I think this is mostly out of spite. Like, he's hoping to try to take votes away from the Democratic Party's candidate and hand the election over to the Republican Party out of spite. Whatever. We'll see how that works out. Republican Congressman Byron Donalds of Florida. Let me rephrase that. Republican Congressman Byron Uncle Ruckus Donalds of Florida went on a bizarre tangent, made a bizarre series of statements regarding how well black families did under Jim Crow. Enough said. Senator Lindsey Graham, Republican. Let's see. He made some statements when speaking about D-Day that went poorly. Like, maybe he should have wrote his stuff down, because he actually had some valid points, but spoke so poorly that it sounded like he was saying the opposite of what he intended. Because it sounded like he said invading Normandy was a mistake and it was pointless and senseless. And what he was trying to say was the war itself didn't have to happen if countries had banded together and stood up to the authoritarian leader early on. And even a blind squirrel finds a nut every now and again. In this case, it was a pretty messy process. But yes, Lindsey Graham had a valid point that he was unable to communicate well. And I think that's very relevant today as people ask, why are we supporting Ukraine? It's because Putin is basically following a playbook we've seen before. Trump, his Nevada rally. Well, multiple people were hospitalized due to heat, and I'm going to go ahead and assume, you know, people understood that this was a risk. They accepted it. Trump publicly stated, you know, his concern for the safety of his supporters and how much concern he does have for them, and comparatively speaking to how much concern he has for himself, because his job is very hard, and, you know, we should be worrying more about his health. And to be fair, he's 78 years old now. Trump meeting with Congress critters for the first time since January 6th, basically. Shock. The GOP has bent the knee to him again, because that's the base they've cultivated. And they will lose so many people out of their base if they don't embrace him, that they're going to start losing their seats. But if they do embrace him and continue to embrace him, they're not going to have independents. They're not going to have moderates. And the Trump base, I believe that has shrunk enough. There's less people willing, there's less conservatives willing to hold their nose and vote for somebody they know is bad, simply because they have an R after their name. Let's see, the Supreme Court. Yesterday, they unanimously defended or protected access to mifepristone, the commonly referred to as the abortion drug. It does serve other purposes besides abortion, but because it does that too, the abortion pill has been facing bans, and the Supreme Court chose not to protect one of those bans. Today, the Supreme Court has struck down the Trump administration's ban on bump stocks. If you're not familiar with bump stocks, they are a device you attach to a semi-automatic a firearm, like a rifle, and it effectively turns that rifle into a machine gun. However, it is technically still a semi-automatic weapon. So, it is technically okay. Let's see. Sorry, I had to write this stuff down. There's quite a bit to cover. Hunter Biden. We're going into legal news that is politics adjacent now. Hunter Biden. He is convicted of, I think it's 3 firearm-related charges, because he lied on a purchasing document to the, basically, he lied on his background check paperwork. Not allowed to do that. That's a crime. Possessing a firearm when you are a drug addict, and that is federally a crime. It's worth noting, in a lot of states, it's also illegal if you're an alcoholic. When you're an addict, you meet the dangerous person standard. A lot of Republicans are angry that that's all he was convicted of, but that's all he was charged with. Because of all the different criminal accusations and inferences made, most of it was purely speculative and based on unethical conduct, but no evidence of a crime. This is the only crime they actually have evidence of. You know, drug use and possession of firearms by a drug addict. See, and back to Donald Trump, because criminal news that is politics adjacent. People are talking about, his sentencing since his conviction. And what it's going to look like. That's just a hard one to figure out, because first-time offender do not expect maximum penalty. That goes for Hunter Biden, too. Thing is, Trump is not what you call a cooperative person in terms of law enforcement. He's generally uncompliant, and while he will not be hitting maximum penalty because of first-time offender status, the other things that determine sentence length, like demonstrating remorse, there is none of that. There is still no admission that, well, it's weird because he admits he does the things he does, but it doesn't count when it's a crime when he does it. That usually doesn't help. In this case, he didn't actually get on the stand and make any claims, because I don't blame him. He didn't have to testify, and if he did, he'd probably hurt himself even worse. But he's made a lot of public statements about the judge, the judge's family members, the people in court, the crooked jurors, crooked court, rigged trial. He's, let's just say, bad-mouthing the judge and trying to direct people at folks as though they are targets. Judges don't like that, and that may hurt Trump when it comes to sentencing. Does that change anything when it comes to his base of support? No, of course not. So, that's the news, political news, the bulk of it, for the last couple of weeks that I find interesting and or relevant to today. Have a great day. Like, share, subscribe. I'm out.